Fred felt excited. He had been waiting for this day for weeks, counting down the days on his calendar. He had always wanted cats. Today was the day he was bringing 2 home. He could hardly believe it was finally happening. The first cat was sleek and black. Her name was Chloe. She had the most mesmerizing green eyes Fred had ever seen. The second cat was white with orange spots. Her name was Nova. She looked like a little ball of sunshine. Fred thought they were perfect. He put the carriers down on the kitchen floor, eager to introduce them to their new home. Slowly, he opened the doors. Chloe hesitated, then darted out. She was cautious, taking in her new surroundings. She hid under the table. Nova strutted out confidently, her tail held high. She seemed to feel right at home already. She rubbed against Fred's leg, purring loudly. Fred giggled, feeling a warm connection with his new furry friends. He knew they would be the best of friends. He couldn't wait to spend time with them, playing and cuddling every day. He would make sure they were happy in their new home. Fred felt a sense of joy and responsibility, ready for this new adventure. The day flew by in a blur of fur and fun. The cats were a whirlwind of activity, darting from one corner of the house to another. Their playful antics filled the dimly lit rooms with a sense of joy and liveliness. Chloe eventually came out from under the table. She'd been hiding there for hours, watching the other cats play. Her curiosity finally got the better of her. She even let Fred pet her. It was a small victory for Fred, who had been trying to gain her trust for weeks. Nova loved chasing the red dot from Fred's laser pointer. She would dart across the room, her eyes wide with excitement as she tried to catch the elusive light. She pounced and leapt with boundless energy. Her acrobatics were a sight to behold, and Fred couldn't help but laugh at her enthusiasm. As the sun began to set, Fred fed his new companions. The kitchen was filled with the sound of purring and the clinking of bowls. He watched them gobble down their food. It was a comforting sight, knowing they were happy and well fed. Then he ate his own dinner. The house was quiet now, a stark contrast to the day's lively events. He had macaroni and cheese, his favourite. Fred felt content. The simple meal was a perfect end to a perfect day. He was tired from playing all day. His muscles ached, but it was a good kind of tired. He decided to go to bed early. The cats followed him to his room, curling up at the foot of his bed. Little did he know the night held something sinister in store for him. As he drifted off to sleep, a shadow moved in the darkness, unnoticed. Fred's room was dark. He snuggled into his covers. The only light came from the hallway. He closed his eyes, ready for sleep. That's when he saw him. He wore a dirty red and green sweater. His face was burned and scarred. He had a glove with knives on his hand. Freddy Kreuger, the boogeyman of dreams. Freddy's laugh echoed in the darkness. It sounded like metal scraping against metal. Fred's breath caught in his throat. He tried to move, but he couldn't. He was trapped. "Welcome to my world," Freddy hissed. His voice was like nails on a chalkboard. He lunged at Fred, his bladed glove raised high. Fred screamed. He felt a searing pain on his arm. He thrashed and kicked, desperate to escape. Then everything went black. He woke up with a gasp. Sunlight streamed through his window. It was just a dream. Or was it? Fred looked down at his arm. 3 long red scratches marked his skin, the same number as Freddy's blades. Fred was terrified. He couldn't believe it. The nightmare had become his reality, and he was trapped in a world where sleep was his enemy. Freddy Kreuger had hurt him in his sleep. The pain was real, and the fear was even more palpable. He knew he couldn't let himself fall asleep again. The stakes were too high, and the consequences too dire. Not while Freddy was out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for his next opportunity to strike. He grabbed an energy drink from his desk. his hands trembling as he fumbled with the can. He chugged it down, hoping the caffeine would keep him awake. Every sip was a desperate plea for more time. He spent the entire day playing with Chloe and Nova, his two beloved cats. Their playful antics were a welcome distraction. He didn't want to be alone with his thoughts. The silence was too loud and the memories too haunting. As night fell again, Fred felt exhaustion creeping in. His body ached for rest, but his mind screamed in protest. He fought it, but the pull of sleep was too strong. His eyelids grew heavier with each passing moment. He knew what awaited him in the darkness. The terror, the pain, the relentless pursuit of Freddy Kreuger. He closed his eyes, bracing for the inevitable. His heart pounded in his chest as he drifted off. He never woke up again. The nightmare had claimed its final victim. The cats went to live with a nice family down the street. They were welcomed with open arms and warm hearts. They were sad to leave Fred's house, but they quickly adjusted to their new home. The new environment was filled with love and care. They would never forget Fred, though. His memory lived on in their hearts. He was their first friend, and they would always cherish the time they spent together.